Hello everyone. This is Reverend Joslyn Mason. I'm the senior minister at Unity of Kalamazoo, and I am happy to be able to greet you today with our Sunday, the Daily Word magazine, as well as an inspiration for us as we go through these interesting times that we find ourselves in. Welcome. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living, and we worked toward the highest evolution of ourselves as spiritual beings. I want to start with, and the word for today is comfort. The word for today is comfort, and the affirmation is Christ in me is my comfort. The daily word reads, experiences that move me out of my comfort zone are a part of my life. The first day at a new school, starting or leaving a job, a new phase in a relationship, retiring a job, a new phase in a relationship, retiring from a career, the passing of a loved one. Any change can evoke discomfort, even grief. I grieve when I think of change as loss, loss of security, loss of my place in my community, or loss of love. The Christ, the divine presence of life, love, and wisdom within me, is my constant source of comfort. Through all of these life changes, I find assurance that allow its physical expression. Although its physical expression may change, life can never end. I know oneness and love with all who have been dear to me. Recognizing my divine nature, I know that there is no change or circumstance that can limit me, and I am comforted. So the Christ, the divine presence of life, love, and wisdom within me, is my constant source of comfort through all of life's changes. I find assurance that although its physical expression may change, life can never end. I know oneness and love with all who have been dear to me. Recognizing my divine nature, I know that there is no loss, change, or circumstance that can limit me. I am comforted. And the scripture comes from the book of Psalms, chapter 71, verse 21. You will increase my honor and comfort me once again. I invite you to take a breath, breathe in and exhale, letting go of anything that you have brought with you to these moments. Take comfort in knowing that the Christ in you is your comfort, that the Christ presence of God is all around you, that there is no place where God is not. And through every circumstance, we are comforted. Take a breath and breathe in the idea and understanding that life changes around us. And sometimes we lose a job, or we lose a relationship, or we even lose a dear one, and we grieve. But the presence of God's love and wisdom is our constant source of comfort through all of life's changes. And life is certainly changing all around us. So let us breathe into this moment. Let us take comfort in the knowing that with God, we are surrounded by love, that Christ in me is my comfort, that Christ in you is your comfort. We breathe into that. We feel the comforting presence of God. We take a moment just to bring any grief, any sense of loss to our mind, and then we cover it in God's loving light and know that we feel our feelings, but we allow the Christ in us to give us comfort. We have that, and for that we are grateful. Take a breath. Thank you, God. Amen. And so today, our message is the pursuit of happiness. As you all know, we just celebrated our 4th of July, 244 years. We have been celebrating this anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, where the founding fathers wrote out a document and sent that document to Britain and said, "We are declaring our freedom." You know American history, so you know that America was a British colony and that Britain sent people over to this colony, as a lot of people did back in those days, seeking land, seeking greater fortune, seeking greater resources. And so, in the process of those early Americans coming to America, Britain taxed them. They taxed their products, they taxed their goods and services. They wanted to take the resources that were happening in the United States and bring all of that bounty and wealth back to Britain. But at a certain point, the colonists that were living here decided, there was a group of them that got together and decided that they were going to declare their freedom, that we just couldn't live like this any longer. And so they wrote this Declaration of Independence. And it said that in order to create a more perfect union, you know, that we all will have life. I love that, the pursuit of happiness, because that says that any individual can pursue what they deem is happiness for them, that they have the inalienable right. We get that concept from the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, that there is an inalienable a right that has been given to us by God that cannot be taken from us by virtue of who we are and the fact that we have been created in the likeness of God, and that there is a sovereignty, which is God, that is above all of the governments and all of the leadership and all of the rules that are present on earth. That somehow God's law, God's way supersedes all of that. And that inalienable right gives us the right to freedom. So I don't know how you celebrated yesterday. There have been restrictions on firecrackers and July 4th celebrations. I'm sure that there are people, people in my neighborhood started sending off firecrackers like 2 weeks ago. I guess they just, are looking for something to do. But our country is really examining this whole celebration of freedom. And what does freedom mean? And who is freedom for? And what does the pursuit of happiness look like? And what is your pursuit of happiness? And what is my pursuit of happiness? And does your pursuit of happiness infringe upon my pursuit of happiness? Does the government's overall way of operation somehow step on my pursuit of happiness? It's a big issue in our country today. I believe in the inalienable rights that we have been given through our awareness of God first, that we have been created free, that there is an illusion that we're not free. The world around us may say that we're not on some level, but from the spiritual sense and spiritual perspective of who and what we are free. We work against the misperceptions that others have that we're not free. I know I was meditating and that came to me. That came to me that this was like an illusion. Now, it's an illusion, though, that has some form and some power and some might behind it. So that is the fight that we work toward, that pursuit of happiness for all people. So this is a big anniversary. This is a big revisiting of what it means to have freedom. what it means to separate ourselves from those thoughts, those ideas, those concepts that hinder us from the full expression of our physical, mental, and spiritual freedom. So, whoa, our physical freedom. We are still in this time of COVID 19, and our physical freedom has been limited to some degree. We still are able to get outside and breathe God's wonderful air, so that's a blessing. We're limited in the places that we might go and the number of people that we might be with, and we have to be mindful of the fact that we, in the liberal living of our own lives, could be affecting the pursuit of happiness of others around us if we are carriers of and non-symptomatic of COVID 19. So we've never been thinking about this around the 4th of July. The pursuit of happiness, my happiness, your happiness, the happiness of others. I just think about how this country is really has been a beacon of freedom and liberty for the world. People around the world are looking at us and have been for centuries. And we are living up to our Constitution, our Declaration. We are living up to the words of the founding fathers. Unfortunately, the founding fathers were really thinking about themselves when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. They weren't really thinking about women, and they really weren't thinking about Black people who had been brought here to the United States. It took that initial kernel and idea of freedom to begin in their hearts and minds, and then from that, women, or actually, it was enslaved people that were got their freedom first. And then women were able to petition for their rights to vote, even though they had certain liberties. Um, they weren't really as free as they would have liked to have been. I know you're all familiar with the last ruling that from the amendment to the Constitution, it's now people of the LGBTQ community are now, they have that freedom where they can't be fired um, from their jobs because of their sexual orientation. So a lot has been happening, and it's still happening. We're still in trying to define how and what is the pursuit of happiness, and how people can live according to what that pursuit of happiness is called for in them. What is their life and their liberty? What is this inalienable right, and how can they be able to demonstrate it? And how can we move those archaic ideas about people and humanity out of the way and create more of an understanding and an openness for people to pursue their happiness, to pursue life and liberty? Now, there are people who are on a different page. Some people don't feel as though everyone should have life and liberty. Some people feel that their life and their liberty is far more important than that of others. There are people who, back in the day, enslaved people from Africa because they felt like they had the power and the ability to do that. There were other people that were abolitionists and others in this country that were like, no, you can't enslave other human beings. These are our brothers and our sisters. And it's funny that today we're still having these dialogues because these perfect ideas and concepts take time to matriculate into our mind, into our consciousness, into our culture to change us so that we can move forward. So, the pursuit of happiness, the right to protest, the right to assemble, All of these ideas are a part of that pursuit of happiness, that expression of our life liberty. So, this 4th of July, we have to think about this a little more intently. It's not all about the barbecue, it's not all about the fireworks, it's not all about the picnics or the family gatherings. We are dealing with real issues and concerns about liberty and justice for all. Now, some people are about up to here with trying to have to listen about people trying to pursue greater rights and freedoms. Other people are like, yes, it's about time. How can I express what I've been holding within? How can I march? How can I protest? How about the symbols, the statues, the arcane ideas, the overt, extreme policing that limit, that curtail the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The 4th of July reminds me every year that we have a constitution, that we have beautiful words, that the concepts and the precepts about freedom are so rich, but there requires and required and still requires an elevation of consciousness to extend those rights to all people. So I hope that you had a good 4th of July. I hope that you've been thinking about what the 4th of July celebration is all about. I hope that you are opening up your heart and your mind to the change that is inevitable. I know last Sunday I said that change is happening and we've got to let it happen. And this is not easy. This is not easy for us because we are not all on the same page. Some of your friends may not be on the same page that you're on. Some of us in our own hearts and minds are questioning who we are and what we believe. But from the spiritual perspective, there's a higher way, a higher law. We're created in the image and the likeness of God. But we have to be careful between the difference in religion and spirituality and the misuse and the weaponizing of religion and the Bible against people's rights to be free. There is a pure, higher concept, and that is God's concept. That is that omnipresent power, that is that omnipotent, that all-loving presence that understands and created everyone equally. Even our documents say all men are created equal, and within the same document, it said that Black people were 3/5 of a person. They were counted as chattel. They were counted as property. We have to get past the point of abusing people for our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. We have to be inclusive of all people and allowing them to pursue their happiness. It really pains me to some degree that we seem to be not being the example that we can be in America for greater freedom, not being the example that we can be for working to wear our mask and to practice social distancing and to look out for one another's pursuit of happiness. I find it interesting that countries around the world don't understand us. And the reality is I don't think we understand ourselves. I think we are evolving. This is an evolution of consciousness. This is a revolution of thought. That's why there was an American Revolution, because the thinking of the people in America caused them to feel a sense of freedom and liberty to be able to pursue their own lives. And so they fought against the oppressor, which was Great Britain at the time. They fought against their motherland, if you will, from where they had come. And they decided that freedom was a good thing. The freedom of religion was really wonderful. They decided that a person being able to create and build their life was an awesome thing. And then they had to come to the realization that they had narrowed the playing field for who could pursue their happiness. So now we're waking up. We're waking up. And what I think drives us above all things is spiritual understanding. What I think drives us above all things to move toward the highest good is to go back to the very beginning, when God said that He created man, woman in His image, that He created everything that exists. That from some essence, some energy, some power, some presence, some awesomeness, all that we know, all that we have has come forth. But God is not managing the earth. People are managing this planet. And it's what's in people's minds and what's in their hearts that makes the difference. Because if I am created in the image and likeness of God, then God is working through my hands. God is working through my voice. God is working through what I see, what I hear. The vibration of the energy of the divine is cueing into my energetic fields and your energetic fields, and hopefully leading us to a more expansive, more evolutionary spirituality that really embraces our oneness. To say we are one is an easy thing. To live and to act as though we are one is totally different. To stand up for the rights of all people because of our oneness is a beautiful and a powerful thing. 244 years we have celebrated our independence from a power that had been holding us down. Now we are looking at our own rule of law. We're looking at our own people that we've hired to implement government, and looking at if they're holding people down, if the structures of our very society are holding people back from the true pursuit of their freedom, of life, of liberty, of happiness. From a spiritual perspective, we want all people to be happy as they can be. What one person's pursuit of happiness is cannot be determined by me. I can only determine my own pursuit of happiness. But we get to right. We get the right to choose. We get the right to support one another. So don't grow weary of the fight for justice. Don't grow weary of allowing people to speak freely, to protest. Don't go weary of change happening. Grow weary of the idea of the same old, same old. Open up that spiritual light center within yourself to embrace the idea of equality, divine freedom, and happiness for all people. As you celebrate and continue to celebrate your freedom, even as you are hunkered away, take time to really ask yourself the question: how do I pursue my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? Am I living full out? Am I living in a way that gives appreciation to this freedom that I've been given? The Daily Word said that the Christ within us gives us comfort. It not only gives us comfort, it gives us wisdom, it gives us guidance, it gives us strength, it gives us clarity, it gives us perspective. It gives us the power to heal ourselves and to extend healing energy out to others. These are days like we've never seen. And I keep saying that to myself. I was talking to someone yesterday about how amazing it all is. It's just amazing to me how things are, what's happening, what's going on. Um, but we are meant to change, obviously. The universe is calling us higher. And even in the midst of this COVID crisis and in this social justice evolution that's going on, we are being called higher, and we are being liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And that collectively we create a world where we all can have that same benefit. There's much work to be done. Don't feel like you have to solve all of these problems. Don't feel like this evolution is going to happen like in the next 5 minutes. This change and this upward, outward, expansive movement is here to stay. But we have to cultivate it in a way where we work together in harmony to bring about greater peace. So, for you today, I pray that you are feeling the divine freedom that is yours by birthright. I pray that, as the scripture says, you walk at liberty because you are seeking the precepts of God, and God's precepts are pretty clear, even though people interpret them in different ways to make them mean whatever they want to make them mean. But we go for the higher ideas that with God we can have that freedom, that we can celebrate our innate freedom to choose and to be anything that we want to be. Circumstances around us may be keeping us or making us feel limited, but we don't allow anything to limit us. Liberty and freedom, not only for ourselves, but for all people. Those with physical, mental disabilities and limitations. Those who, because of the color of their skin or the language that they speak or their country of origin, are having to deal with lots of barriers. The American ideal is that we have to be able to expand that ideal in a way that lifts up our country, lifts us up in the light of God, lifts us up in the consciousness of the world, and lifts the world up so that there is a higher consciousness throughout the whole world. So today, as you celebrate, as you go forth about your life, as we go through the rest of this summer, not really knowing exactly how it's all going to pan out, what's going to happen, let us still not be deluded by the illusion that we're not free. Because we are free to breathe, we are free to walk, we are free to talk, we are free to connect, maybe in limited ways, but we are clever. We can find ways to be with one another in the best way that we can. But we can also see, evaluate, love, and care for the freedom that this country gives to all of us. We just hold it accountable for the ideals that govern all things. So I invite you to use your power of freedom. Remember to vote in November. Get yourself registered if you're not registered. Get that get the voting. You know you can vote remotely now. You can vote. The ballot comes to your house. You check it off. You send it in. But encourage people to vote. Encourage people to move toward a greater opening of our country, a greater liberty in our country, a greater respect and honoring. And for those of you who are of the body of faith, work toward, work for, live the tenets of the higher way of being. And that is always brotherly and sisterly love, loving your neighbor as yourself, loving the essence and the essence and isness and power and presence that is God, and allowing that to work through you to govern what you do, how you live your life. So I hope this is inspiring for you today. I don't know where any of you are in your own thinking about any of these things. You may totally agree with me. You may not agree with anything that I say. Um, and that is your right. But my pursuit is always for the highest and best good for all people, for true life, liberty, and freedom, because that is our very nature. That is what God created us to be. So, may you find peace today. May in your times of quiet meditation, you ask the question, am I living life with a sense of liberty? Am I pursuing my happiness? And am I opening up the way, not standing in the way of the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for all other beings? God bless you and have a great Sunday. Don't forget to check out our Daily Word videos. You can now check them out early in the morning. They're coming out on Facebook. God bless you, and remember your spiritual community. To remember to pray for all of our congregants. There are some people that are going through some health challenges. I'm not going to name them, but if you pray for everybody, you'll get them. So God bless you and have a most wonderful, bountiful, and loving day. And be about your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. May you be happy at the deepest level of your being. And may that happiness spawn from you the greatest love ever, 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 ever for humanity. I behold the Christ as you. Namaste.